Horchata!
Hello! Yes, I'm still stuck in the ground. And apparently you guys say you won't pull me out till I reach 90k subs. But I have a feeling you're not people of your word. After all, you did kick me out of your country. All for drinking a Modelo. That's fine, that's fine. I've been wanting to tan my popsicle stick for a while anyway. But every time you smash that subscribe button, a Nintendo out there somewhere loses their mind because this content really pisses them off. And I don't know why. I'm just providing necessary criticism to the company itself. However you feel about the games that they make for little twig boys, I don't care.
Loud is not allowed. What the?
How the company operates and how many free passes they are handed out. Now that's what bugs me. And yet somehow, Nintendo's fandom is 10 times more cringe than the products Nintendo makes themselves.
I hurt myself using the Switch 2 Pro controller.
Huh?
A little twig boy.
Like, for instance, this Donkey Kong amiibo. Yes, it's cringe, but the people lining up to buy them in droves. Have you seen what they look like? Makes me want to bust down my inner Hank Hill. Damn it, Monley, what are you, some twig boy? You should be selling nitrous and nitrous accessories, I tell you what. Once again in the discussion, what did they do this time? Well, it's not what Digital Foundry did, it's the reaction that they're receiving from the Nintendo community. If you guys know, I called out Digital Foundry in a video like a month ago because these guys were paid money by Nintendo to run an ad for Breath of the Wild Enhanced for the Switch 2 on their channel, and they listed it as an analysis video, tricking people into thinking that's what it was when it was literally just the exact same ad that Nintendo ran at their Direct, letting you know that you can't really trust Digital Foundry. They are Nintendo's pockets. And in spite of that, when it came time to finally review the Switch 2 officially recently, they spent most of the time beating off Miyamoto and fondling Mario until they reached one point in the video where they were critical of the display of the Switch 2.
Can't ever be quenched, can they? You freaking pricks! When will you learn? When will you learn?
That's right. I mean, you can have a sea of compliments for Nintendo, but you say one thing, one little criticism, and the Nintendo fanboys will laser focus on said criticism and forget everything else you were praising the device for, because they're insane. They will settle for nothing than absolute praise, and it's gotten so bad, these Nintendros are so delusional, they've now turned to accusing Digital Foundry of smearing the Switch 2 and Nintendo. Yeah, that's right. The guys who took money to run an ad for Nintendo on their own channel while falsely advertising said video all for Nintendo. Yeah, those guys are smearing Nintendo, sure. See, Digital Foundry put out a 2-hour review of the Switch 2. Hell, that's almost as long as its battery life. Impressive.
No! Yeah.
And of the 2 hours, Nintendrones are focused on this one segment where Digital Foundry is criticizing the low quality display because it has ghosting and doesn't properly support HDR since it's incapable of outputting enough nits in order to even achieve standard HDR. And these guys are acting surprised, like, what? Digital Foundry breaking down hardware and software and critiquing it down to the smallest minute details? Why did nobody ever tell me this is what Digital Foundry does? What? See, they had no problem with Digital Foundry until they crossed paths with Nintendo. Then that's when they took a problem with what they were saying. Because when Digital Foundry's out here criticizing the PS5 Pro, oh, it was hilarious. They were geniuses. Digital Foundry are the kings. Criticize the Switch 2 display. You're trying to smear Nintendo. You can't do that. LOL. They expected a 720p screen with no HDR and got a 1080p screen with HDR and VRR and 120 FPS support, but now it's subpar.
What's with the attitude from this lost child?
Oh, it's Dr. Trey again. The biggest Nintendo fanboy ever. I'm not even kidding you. You go to this guy's channel, and this is his intro.
What it do, bruh? Talk of the town, Nintendo, Doc Trey, still holding it down, still make the best games, and you know this, bro. It's the truth. If you don't like it, you can have that seatbelt.
And I've got to say, in all honesty, it's the biggest piece of dog shit that I have ever heard.
This guy has been dick riding Nintendo hardcore for over 12 years, and he still is stuck at just 11,000 subs and unable to even break 3,000 views. Pathetic. That one tweet of his was more popular than his entire channel. Gee, I don't know. Pretty hard one. Who do I listen to? The guys who have been doing this for over a decade, analyzing software, hardware, understanding how it works, certain terms, numbers, pixel counting, all that shit. Or some guy who wears a hat sideways and says Nintendo is the best. Tough pick. It amazes me how tech illiterate these guys are, and they still want to give their own 2 cents, as if they can't be so easily dismissed, like their voice matters, like their love and passion for Nintendo transcends reality itself and the facts and evidence. We're talking about a group of gamers that didn't even know what 1080p gaming looked like for nearly a decade. Guys that didn't even know what 120 FPS felt like. Dudes who were gaming on one of the worst handheld displays in history for 8 years are now suddenly more knowledgeable and tech literate than Digital Foundry? Are you for real? Oh, my eyes don't lie. My eyes don't deceive. Bitch, your eyes have been unreliable for 8 fucking years. Why do you think Nintendo never tries with their graphics? Because they know you can't tell the difference. It's why they half-assed the screen on the Switch 2. Luckily for us, John Lemon actually ended up replying to the best voice for Nintendo Twitter has to offer. The site actually measured it, and it's even worse than we suggested. It's one of the slowest modern LCDs I've ever seen. If you're someone that only looks at specs on the box and doesn't understand anything about displays, then you might be impressed.
Shut up, science bitch.
Look, John, I hate to tell you this, but your efforts are going to waste here. You're talking to Nintendrones, okay? These guys barely discovered what DLSS is. They are now just getting familiarized with such terms. It's going to take you a long time to explain it to them, and they're very slow individuals. You're forgetting Nintendo guys don't pay attention to the world of tech. They don't understand it on a fundamental level. They don't know what the specs of other handheld devices are or what other portable screens are capable of. They only know what Nintendo gives them. And the replies show that. Like, check this out. Slowest modern LCD compared to what though? A Steam Deck. It's about 3 times slower than the original Steam Deck LCD. It's also slower than the 2017 launch Switch LCD. Interesting, but does it affect gaming negatively? Because if the effect isn't noticeable, unless you have the software to do precise testing, how is the console maintaining better visual than the Switch one if the LCD is technically worse? For me, yes, a lot. If you're trying to play anything with a lot of lateral motion, side-scroller, or rotating camera, it turns the image into a sea of blur. It's okay for racing games, since you only move forward, so Mario Kart is fine enough. Try playing Sonic on there. See what I mean? They're not even on the same intellectual playing field. You are literally talking to someone who's not only a lot smarter than you, but also someone who has actively taken money from Nintendo to promote them. And the one thing he criticizes the device for, that he is right on, you guys cannot refute and you cannot debate it. You may think your own pair of little beady eyes there enforce the truth, but the specs don't lie. Alright, now here's the clip that Digital Foundry posted on Twitter that caused Nintendo fanboys to soy out.
The problem with Switch 2 is that the response time of the pixels, or at least the way it's being driven, is not adequate. And as a result, you actually do see a lot of sort of trails, blur on things. So if you're playing, say, a side-scrolling 2D platform game, like imagine you're playing Sonic on there, Sonic Mania, you got this checkerboard field, you've got a lot of contrasting colors. As it moves, the image essentially leaves behind, if you film at, say, 240 frames per second for like a slow motion video, you essentially get 4 individual ghost images of everything on the screen. Your eyes perceive this as blur. It's actually slower than the original Switch 1 LCD from 2017. This is what surprised me the most, because the nature of modern LCDs, I'm genuinely confused as to how this is the case. It shouldn't be that much worse, but it is. And as a result, it means that 2D games, especially, or anything with a lot of lateral motion, just kind of smears in a messy way.
When you go back and get your money.
Wow, how dare you? How fucking dare you? How dare you notice something like that and pointing it out and showing Nintendo so they can improve their next iteration? You evil, evil man. You know what's crazy is Digital Foundry's far from the only ones that noticed this. It was all over Reddit forums. People who are far more into tech need time to tamper with these devices, to really break down the finer details that your average Nintendo YouTuber can't do because all the crap they cover is surface level. This is a 2-hour breakdown / review / analysis. And other people who have spent just as much time with them are noticing these things about the device as well. Why anybody would be offended at that is beyond me. This is how hardware improves. The world is not made better by yes men, all right? That's what your average Nintendo fan is. Somebody who buys the device and thinks it's perfect no matter what and will tell Nintendo 10 out of 10. Nothing is wrong with it. When in reality is Nintendo's looking to improve their hardware based on the smallest little minute details like this. Things that the average dumbass consumer will never notice because their pea-sized brain cannot comprehend how the world of tech works. How do you expect people to test the limitations or test for flaws? You think that happens by solely, mindlessly consuming product and not asking questions? Apparently so.
Not disagreeing with Digital Foundry here, but what they don't put into context is that for 95% of general consumers, the Switch 2 display is fine. Especially if they're coming from the OG or version 2. For some, the issues they're touching on is imperceptible.
You're quoting that twig boy?
No shit, it's almost like they're tech analysis. What the fuck? Wow! You mean to tell me 2 guys that review tech for a living are breaking down hardware's finer details and looking at things closer? What? No! Your lack of perception is useless to the tech industry. Pixel response time, proper HDR. Yes, the average consumer is not going to care, but this is not a video for the average consumer. This is Digital Foundry. What are you doing here? This is also just one little segment of a 2-hour review, and they are so hung up on it. Whether it's imperceptible to the average consumer or not doesn't take away from what the man is saying. So your comment contributes absolutely nothing to the conversation. Thank you. We're talking about how this new iteration of the Switch 2 is not an OLED, doesn't have HDR, and has worse ghosting than the first one. And your answer to that is mass consumption. Go away. My God, here, let me show you what an actual decent response looks like to criticism of the display. The Switch 2 may use dated tech, but excellent efficiency and DLSS make it more than the sum of its parts. This is a great platform for the coming generation of Nintendo games. And there we go. Dude is acknowledging the flaws, but highlighting its strengths and not spurging out like most of these Nintendo soylents. When you are presented new information and you act hostile towards it, you are displaying clear signs of fanboyism. Whereas this guy's like, yeah, well, it's outdated, but you know what? DLSS. And he's right, that is a strength of the device. It's the only console that can do it. But these other guys say, duh, nobody could notice. And then you take one look at them and you can begin to tell why they couldn't notice.
Literally no one would ever notice this if it was specifically tested for and then pointed out. Not a real issue.
You are out of control. You're out of control, Twiggy.
You know what's funny about all you Nintendrones is you're saying, oh, not a real issue, nobody cares, it's imperceptible, but the minute Nintendo releases an OLED screen, guess who is gonna be the first one in line to buy one? This motherfucker right here. The minute any improved screen is presented, of course they're gonna buy one, even though they're claiming all these things are imperceptible to them. If that's the case, I expect none of you to buy an OLED version, or any improved model for that matter.
Display is great. I love it. It's a huge upgrade over the original Switch. This only matters if you nitpick at everything. Most people will immediately notice how nice the games look and run on the big 8-inch screen.
Jesus Christ, these guys are acting like Digital Foundry said the screen is unplayable. when all they've done is point out the shortcomings. This doesn't mean, hey, go throw your Switch 2 device out the window, although I wouldn't mind if you did so. It's more or less, hey, look, yes, it's a better resolution, but it's not OLED. It's got worse ghosting than the first Switch panel, and it doesn't have any proper HDR. That is it. And these guys go on the defense. I don't understand these guys. I don't get what it is that they want. Do you want Nintendo to improve or not? These are the same motherfuckers who were okay with the Switch 1 screen for 8 years, tolerating the performance and saying it's fine. No, I don't think your opinion matters. You guys will accept anything. Let's face it. You begin to wonder, what kind of tech analysis is it gonna take to please these guys? What do you want Digital Foundry to do? Say everything is great, you'll enjoy the device no matter what, and their opinion doesn't matter, thanks for tuning in? What do these guys want from a fucking tech channel? Of all the panels that Digital Foundry has tested, as we can see here in this chart, the Switch 2 built-in display has broken the worst record of everything they've tested, creating this after image that you see due to an exceptionally low response time. Now, there's one thing you guys are right about, and that's the average consumer won't care, but then you also have to explain to me how any of that makes a difference to the stats we are seeing right here. Exactly, nothing. Because optimism does not take away from facts. Just because you don't like what the facts are, doesn't mean you gotta give your own 2 cents, thinking it will override reality and all of a sudden, ghosting doesn't exist on the Switch 2 anymore. Not a problem. No, that's not how it works. You don't have to like facts in order for them to be true. They realize that their enjoyment does not hinge on Digital Foundry's opinions, and yet they take them to heart. And in this case, I don't understand why, because every little criticism here helps improve the overall product. And they don't even have appreciation over that. They don't appreciate that other people that analyze tech for a living are the reasons you get those small little improvements that their blind, devout loyalty cannot even notice. Just imagine if I was purchasing a GPU with this type of mentality. The fact that these guys don't understand what a tech analysis is, and this is their reaction to seeing it, lets you know exactly how stupid they are and how far removed they are from these types of discussions. They don't belong around them. But I mean, if you like seeing them exposed, then you are in the right discussion. You are on the right channel, and for that very reason, you need to help me get to 100K subs. We need to make it popular to show how stupid these guys are. Nintendo Twig boys have gotten off scot-free for far too long. Anyways, streaming Sundays, 12 p.m. Pacific time. You don't want to miss it. We need to start getting those streams up and running. Bigger, better, faster, harder, stronger. So tune in. That being said, I'll see you in the next video.
Frittata!
Sucks ass.